for this webinar and we can kick off. Once again, thanks for joining today for this session to look at our latest release of our portal for Service Manager, just version 8. There should be some great features in this for those of you who want to continue using the solution as you are currently, and particularly for those of you who want to develop and build on top of it. So hopefully you'll find the next hour or so interesting and useful. And just for introduction, for those of you who don't know me, my name is David Smithai. I'm a solutions architect here at Cireson in EMEA. So I know that your time is valuable, and I once again thank you for joining me here today. So a couple of housekeeping things very quickly before we continue with the meat of the webinar. If you do have any questions while I'm presenting, there's a questions box within your GoToWebinar applet. Please use that. Just drop your questions into there, and we'll have some time at the end to go through the questions. If I can't answer any of your questions during this webinar in the question section, I'll take it away and get back to you individually if I can. Finally, as I mentioned, I'm recording this webinar, and after it's complete, within 24 hours, we should have it uploaded to our Team Cireson Vimeo site. And then you can review that again or pass it on to colleagues who've missed this webinar and are interested. You can feel free to share this with them later on down the line. So a brief look at our agenda for today. What I want to cover off is, firstly, for those of you who don't know Cireson, maybe I want to cover off a minute or two on Cireson and our background. I'll spend a few minutes going over some of the new features in the portal, so version 8. But my main plan for this webinar is to spend the bulk of it in a live demonstration to show you some of the new features. And then finally, like I said, we'll have some questions or time for some questions at the end as well. So who is Cireson? And I'm hoping all of you have heard of us and already used some of our solutions. But for those of you who don't, we began in 2012 as a consultancy company, as experts in all things System Center. Since then, over the last 5 years or so, we've expanded and have quite a big customer base now across over 60 countries globally. We have operations across the US, North America, in EMEA, in UK, and in sort of Asia Pacific, in Philippines and Australia, New Zealand. So we've grown significantly. Historically, we've delivered a lot of consultancy hours, and we still do. So our consultancy services team have over the years delivered over 43,000 hours of consultancy. And one of the things that we're really proud of is the fact that we've got a very high renewal rate from our customers who use our solutions. So again, really great recognition for us from that sense, and also from the industry, where we've got some accolades across different industry recognition bodies in the last year or so. In terms of our product sets, we built the majority of our apps around Service Manager, as many of you will know, but then expanded that to enable Service Manager to take on asset management data and become an asset management player in that sense. And also, lately, we've had more applications that work with the Configuration Manager application from the System Center suite. And that's culminated in a web portal now that we have for Configuration Manager, which, again, you can download and try if you're interested in your own time. So that's enough of an introduction, I guess, for Cireson. If you do want to know more about us, please hit us up on our website or contact us on that email address at the bottom right of the screen, team@cireson.com, and we can answer any additional questions you have about Cireson if you're interested. So let's look at a few key things about the portal and the new features. That's what I want to cover in the next few slides. But a quick introduction into our service management stream of applications, particularly the web portal. So hopefully you'll all have heard that our self-service portal element of the portal is totally free of charge. So again, hopefully all of you are using some element of self-service with your Service Manager installation. So just again to reiterate, the self-service element of our portal is free of charge. And with this version, we've changed the terms slightly, the usage terms slightly, so it won't be too onerous, hopefully, on anyone. But within the 60 days of installing your product, the self-service portal, we will ask you to get in touch with us or with your local sales contact, who will then be able to provide you a permanent key. So there's nothing too complicated about that, no funny or trick questions going to be asked. is just to drive a bit more engagement with our clients through this small change. So again, hopefully not too painful for anyone. So within 60 days, you just have to contact us to get a key for the free self-service portal, which will give you a permanent key, and then you can continue using it as it is. With our self-service portal community edition, we also provide you full access to the self-service capabilities of Service Manager. So as I've mentioned, as you'd expect. So the end user can view all the requests that you've published. They can view the status of those requests in the My Requests view. You also have access to the HTML knowledge base within our portal, so a significantly slicker and nicer to use knowledge base than the out-of-the-box knowledge base in Service Manager. And also we have the announcements capabilities whereby you can send AD user groups announcements based on changes that you may have going on within your environment. So you can send announcements based on someone logging in to the portal. They'll see a pop-up with the announcement that you send out. So once people have used the community, the free edition of the self-service portal, we find that the next stage for most of our clients is to look at some of our paid for value-add solutions, and these extend the portal features much further. It's not a new installation. All you need to do is purchase a license key, put it into your self-service portal, and it expands and exposes the additional functionality. So the advanced request offerings is extremely popular with customers. This enables dynamic request forms. So when you can have a bunch of questions that pop up based on the response to a previous question. So again, a dynamic form which out-of-the-box Service Manager doesn't support. We also have the additional layer of the analyst portal, whereby the analysts, IT analysts, service desk guys can manage their tickets through our web interface as well. And finally, the final, most popular application, I guess, within our portal offering is the analytics. We'll touch on the analytics side in the demonstration today as well. But the analytics allows you to create rich charts and graphs within the portal as well, dashboards to present to different user groups based on their roles. And also provides a light level of data warehousing for the Cireson set of applications. So we can cache your historic ticket information from the Cireson database for up to 10 years in analytics to allow you to report on trend data historically. So again, all of those key features are part of the Cireson portal. First is self-service add, which is free of charge, and then some value add applications on top of that. So what's new in version 8 then of our portal? So there's a couple of things. There's 2 slides before we move on to the demonstrations of these key things. The first thing we've done is simplify the approval process, or the access to the approval process within the portal. So those of you who use review activities or manual activities within Service Manager and within Cireson, you'll have noticed that within My Work, if you click the Activities tab, you'll see a bunch of review activities or manual activities that are assigned to you, but that's mixed in with the other work items like incidents, problems, changes. What we've done is separated that out, the review piece, into a different tab now to make it easier for you to access. So there's a activity approval page separate to the grid view that you have out of the box. We also support direct links to the review activity step, so you can send it out easily via email and website notifications. And as you'd expect with our portal, you'll all have seen that the pages are adaptive, so they work very nicely on mobile phones. The review activity page is also extremely nice to use on a mobile device, and I'll show you that during the demo as well. And also, and finally, for slightly related to the approval side, but in terms of work item creation, we've allowed you to simplify that creation again with the URL for creating a new work item supporting parameters, so you can easily embed that into additional links to create new work items more quickly. So to continue on from what's new, the key thing, I guess, for those of you who use asset management within our portal is asset management pages have been revamped. We spent a lot of time and effort on redeveloping how asset management is delivered through our portal. So significant performance improvements. The key thing to bear in mind here is we have caching of asset management data within the portal, now within the Cireson database. So this enables significantly better performance within the portal. But just a note on that as well is we still keep the old pages just in case you are currently using it, and obviously we'll maybe phase that out over time. but the new pages are hidden, which you'll have to enable, and I'll show you that in the demonstration as well. We are relying now on OData a lot more within the platform. So we've got a new section or a new piece within the portal for called the Cireson platform. So if you're like me and you don't know you've never heard of what OData is before we've released it, OData stands for Open Data Protocol, and it's an ISO approved standard that defines sort of best practices for building and consuming RESTful APIs. So we're using OData because OData RESTful APIs are easy to consume and enable you to use them very quickly and link to other systems very quickly through those APIs. So then that's the reason why we're using that. So we're using OData for dashboard widgets within the portal now. So you can create new widgets based on OData API endpoints. You can also customize the templates to take advantage of a more adaptive grid when you're creating these custom grids or charts within the portal. So it was the case before that you just get the default view, but now you have the ability to customize on top of that default view to allow better views within a mobile device or a desktop device. So it requires a bit of coding, but it's possible for those of you who are feeling a bit braver. You can customize the asset management form now, the templates. You've always been able to do that. Most of you will know, but you can create your own or use your own type projections for asset management and lock down access to the forms using AD groups like you could do with work items previously. You can do that with asset management forms as well. More customization comes in the form of customizable portal tasks for asset management. You've probably all seen, those of you who use analytics, you've probably seen the get dashboard query by ID API endpoint. It's been there since analytics, like I've just mentioned, but you can now provide parameters to those queries that you create within SQL, and then you can pass those parameters through to the data, so you can get the data out of the system, out of SCSM, much more quickly into other systems if you wanted to integrate that way. And finally, the backend. So I've mentioned the platform, which is a new component within the portal now. It's significantly more extensible. So I'm only going to be skimming the surface of it during this webinar because it's far more detailed and far more in-depth than I can cover because I don't have a development background. But I'll show you some of the basics, and then you guys should all watch out for more webinars and more detailed training webinars that we're planning to cover these OData extensibilities that we have. It's a really exciting new introduction to the portal offerings and should really enhance how you can leverage the asset management solution initially and potentially a lot more of our work items as well in the future. So that's just a quick overview of what the portal does initially out of the box, as well as what's new in version 8. So what I'm going to do is swing over to my demo environment to show you some of these things. And again, like I said, if you do have any questions, please do pop them into the questions box, and I'll have a look at those at the end to go through them. So let me just go into full screen mode. Hopefully you can all still see this. Let me just confirm in my audience view. Yep, it looks like you can all see it. So let's go into the portal. Actually, first of all, let's cover off the installation process quickly. So when you've downloaded version 8, the installation process is exactly the same as you've had with all the recent previous versions of Cireson setup. The key thing, only one thing to point out, that the installation process is exactly the same. You will not notice in here another installation checkbox for the platform. Just to bear in mind now, anything from version 8 upwards now, the platform is integrated within the install website, which, as you notice, you can't uncheck. So when you install the website for the Cireson portal, we install the platform as well. The platform has another service included, so you're all familiar with the Cache Builder service. What we also have is a new service called the Platform Cache, and that runs the platform's cache service, which those of you who maybe have used a password reset solution from Cireson is a similar sort of base for this solution. So that's a quick overview of the installation process. I'm not going to run through the installation process because all the steps are exactly the same as you'll have seen before. Obviously, what we also do is create additional tables within the database. And then, so if I just go to the Cireson database service management, you'll see there's a bunch of new cached tables for asset management in here, very easy to see. And again, just to prove that we are bringing data from the Service Manager database for asset management into the Cireson cache database. So let's just jump onto the portal then. Let's cancel that one. Log into the portal. So the first thing I want to talk about is the new My Work view. So again, like I mentioned in the slides, you're all familiar with the previous feature of where you click Show Activities and it lists all the review activities or manual activities that you have assigned to you within the work item view. So again, that's still the same. It still exists. What we've added on top of this is two additional tabs. We've got the Approval tab, which shows you the review activities that are assigned to you in a very easy to view grid view. And also there's an Activities tab which shows you all of your activities, review and manual activities in one grid view. The work item view, so there's a couple of ways to get to the actual review step. So you've got the default, you click on the actual link and it takes you directly to the actual review activity, historical view with all the details, maybe not so easy for someone who's not using the portal on a regular basis. The other thing you'll maybe have noticed when I hovered over this is there's two icons. I can click on this tick box, which is a direct link to our approval page. If I click on that, it opens up a summary review activity summary page, which has a very simple approve reject option, and I can cycle through the review activities that I have assigned to me. And in the same way, if I go to the My Work even, and go to the Approval tab, I can access it in the same way through this. So here by default, you click on the link and it goes to the review activity page. So I can go ahead and approve this if I wanted to, add some comments, and then go ahead and do the approval process. So again, very simple. You can also link through to the parent, the activity information, the details, or the service request, opening a new tab. So just click on that and click on the actual review activity as well. So you'll see the service request. You can open up in a new tab very quickly to see the details. Also the actual more detailed activities tab within the service request we link to as well within the review activity page. So hopefully you'll see a significantly more simple way of getting to the review steps or the approval steps within the portal. We also mentioned the fact that you can directly link to these review activity pages. So just bear in mind, so this URL is unique to this review activity. So I can copy and paste this into any emails, links that you may have, and then you can directly link to this review page. So again, hopefully making it simpler for you to send those notifications out to people who are reviewing the activities within your environment. The other thing I just wanted to mention is the adaptive UI again. So if I just do a simulation of an iPhone 6 Plus, so this is how the page would look on an iPhone screen. Again, you'll see it's very simple to use. I can toggle through the different review activities that I have. I can go ahead and approve, and the same comments come up. It's been approved, and obviously you'll all have seen hopefully the adaptive UI where I can go back and manage my work through a mobile device very easily. So very easy for me to see and use, and I can go back into review activities through this as well. So the UI is fully adaptive, and again, hopefully enabling more dynamic working within your organization through this. So jumping out of this again, let me refresh that page. Okay, cool. So next thing we mentioned was about creating a new work item from a URL. So you'll know the process of creating a new incident. So I click on the new incident, it creates a new page. It's blank using the default template by default, obviously. There's none of the fields are filled in. What I can do with our new V8 portal is start passing parameters or start filling in fields directly from the URL. So I can go append to this, and I can start typing title. What do I want the title to be? Whoops, I type equals, let's say this is a demo ticket. And let's say I also want to append some description items, and let's say description equals this is my demo description. And then return on that, it will create a new work item for me with the bits that I've passed through. So this is compatible for all of the fields. All of the enumeration lists are possible. You can pass those through via the URL. What you can't do right now is pass through a user picker. So at the moment, the user picker isn't supported, so the affected user assigned to user. But you can, but that is on the roadmap for us to add in the URL creation process as well. So it works for impact, urgency, etc., but not for assigned to affected users, the user picker basically within any forms. So again, this is supported across all work items, and then yeah, you can use this to simplify the creation process of new tickets. Cool. So that's the new incident creation process. I just want to talk about some of the asset management pieces now. So I've got, you'll notice on this, I've got a wealth of asset management tabs now. So we've got the old ones, so they're all the asset admin, config items, contracts, hardware assets, software assets. What we've done is added new pages. So all the asset management pages that we've had previously, we've just prefixed with new. By default, when you install version 8, just so you're all aware, if you go to navigation settings, all of the new asset stuff, new asset pages are hidden. So enable all of those one by one. We've done this because we don't want to affect the way you currently work without informing you. So initially you'll have the old asset management pages there by default, and then you enable the new ones if you want to, which you should. And then once you've enabled them, rename them obviously, and then you can start using them in the same way as you were previously with with the existing asset management pages. So I go to the hardware asset overview. So the key thing now is, because of the way we've cached the data, we can ensure significantly better performance than we had previously. Because of the way the Service Manager APIs worked, you weren't really able to get through the page, get to the page and scroll through the results very well when you started to get a large volume of assets within your asset management database. And those larger customers on the call today will know that issue. So when you had 20,000, 30,000 plus assets, it became very slow for you to page these results. So what we did in the past was we initially limited it to 500 results, which then didn't work for most people. Then we made the whole lot available again, and then it became slow. So what we've done is our development team, our product team, has really significantly worked on how to improve this, and now we've enabled some really nice functionality through our own APIs, new APIs, and also through the caching of the asset data. So we've got server-side paging now for the grid views. We have server-side search. We can support multi-search, multi-field search as well. And also we have the ability to customize significantly more. And we'll touch on that towards the end as well. What you also have noticed is across a lot of our grid views, all of our asset management grid views, and I think you saw it on the My Work grid view, you have the ability to export to Excel natively now. So I can click on that button, it goes off and creates my Excel spreadsheet. I open the Excel spreadsheet and I can see all the data. That's all the data that you have in the grid, and it's shown in Excel. So again, easy to use. Right now, you can't, so I can search very easily. So if I wanted to start searching for anything with SYD, hit search, you can see how quickly that comes back. You'll see it started filtering on contents across all of these columns. You can manage the filters yourself. I can clear that filter if I wanted to. Similarly, with all our other grid views, I can drag and drop the column headings and group them by the column name. All of that functionality is still supported. So search functionality is better. The loading is significantly faster, especially if you've got a larger data set. Hopefully all of this will be very interesting to all of you. At the moment, what we can't do on these is add columns. You'll notice there's nothing here to add or manage the columns on a grid. It's not supported right now in this initial release. That should come further down the line. But what you can do very easily is start creating pages to show the data sets that you want. So hopefully the next section of this demonstration will be quite interesting for all of you. So I'm going to go and start creating a new page. So if I go to navigation settings, so hopefully all of you who have seen the dashboard designer from, I think it was version 6 point something, and analytics from version 7.3, I think it was, you'll all be familiar with creating new pages in the portal. So again, very easily click the new page, you'll see the new page has been created. I can, let me just call it all hardware assets, call it demo as well. As you'll all know as well, I can go ahead and change icons. Let's just call it this one for now, make it visible. I'll do make it public, or you can start locking it down. So if I wanted to lock it down by specific groups, very easy to do that as well. And you can see all those changes are dynamic, and on the left-hand side, they're reflected straight away. I can drag and drop this wherever I want into different sections, or leave it wherever I want. So I'm just going to move it there for now. And now when I go to the page, you'll notice as before, this is a blank page, there's no data, and now what you want to do is start adding content and layouts. So what I'll do first is create a grid view, so I'm going to add some content, and what you'll notice is on top of the existing chart and grid widgets that we had, table widgets that we had before, we have a couple or 3 new OData widgets. I'm going to do the OData table widget first. So there's we want to add a table in here, so there's a grid view being created, and I can start adding data. The first thing I want to do is start with connecting to my platform API, and because it's OData, the great thing about the API is it lists all the different parameters that I have, all the classes that I have to select from. So the collections that I want to, in this case, I want to go to this is all the different collections that we've cached from within our database. Again, very easy to see. I'm going to go to my where is it? Cached hardware assets. Where can I? There we go. Cached hardware asset. And then I can start choosing columns. So all of these, let's say I want to say name first, and it's very easy to start using. So I want to do status. Let's say manufacturer, model maybe. And I can start searching through all of these columns, and if I wanted to have manufacturer after model, very easy for me to do that. I can hit apply, and it goes in and shows me the data that I have within the system. I can, obviously I don't want to call it OData table widget, I should have renamed this, so all HW assets, apply that. So that's very easy for you to do that through the OData engine that we have within the environment. I can also start. So by default, we show all of the things in English. If you did have another language within your environment that you're using, I can easily change or start filtering the data by the language code, as an example, or filter on anything, to be honest, within the data sets. I can just use filter, whoops, sorry, wrong query, so question $filter, there we go, it's pre-typed. So if I wanted to filter by Swedish, or so let's do ENU for a start. It's wrong. Let's also prove that this is working by going language code onto the list as well. So you can see all the ENU language versions. I don't have any translation, so they're also showing in English. But if I then filtered by, say, French, I do FRA, again, you can start filtering. And again, that works for any column, any data set that you have. You can start filtering directly within your OData table widgets. Again, hopefully very useful for those of you who are looking to do that kind of thing. So I'm going to just remove that and leave that there for now. The other thing, obviously, you can do is now create charts as well. This is a dashboard, so I can start setting up multiple layouts and content. So let me set the layout again. I want a multiple grid view, and let's say I'm going to add a couple of other charts to this dashboard. Let's close that. I want to move this down because this is a table. Let's move it down here. Drag and drop functionality, again, very easy to use. What I can then do is add some content, some additional content, and I want to do a SQL chart widget in this case. And again, the chart data has been added. Let's call it demo data chart. Wrong one, I apologize. I don't want a SQL chart. My mistake. I'm going to add content, and I'm going to do an OData chart widget. My mistake, I apologize. Let's just rename the demo. Again, platform API. I'm going to work with our cached hardware again, just because I've done that already in testing. And I can start grouping by values. So I want to say group by, let's say, status, hardware assets, status, and chart. Let's do a column chart for this one. Hit apply, and again, there you go, a very quickly created chart for the OData widgets that we have. And again, in the same way as previously, if I wanted to, I can start filtering through that results in my query string. And then I can also display item details. And in this case, let's say I just want to show, when I click on a column, I want to show, let's say, name, model, manufacturer. Apply that, and then I click on any column. There we go. The summary data is shown. Again, very easy. This is showing multiple results because of the language codes. I've got all the language codes set up. You can start filtering those pretty quickly through the settings, through the query that you provide for the chart. So again, hopefully very easy for you to start creating this data using the OData API endpoints. And again, because it's the API that you can publish internally within your own environment, you can start putting that data into other data sources or other systems very much more easily than previously. And again, I'm only touching the surface. This is the tip of the iceberg in terms of the functionality. Those of you who have more of a development background will be able to do significantly more. And like I said earlier on, we're planning to do much more in-depth training webinars down the line. So please do keep an eye out on some of these coming forward from us. So a couple of other things just to mention. So I touched on the fact that you can customize grids for mobile and desktop views more easily. So if I edit my the grid view again, I have the ability. There's a couple of additional buttons you may have noticed in the demonstration. So the custom desktop template, custom mobile template. Previously, what happened with the grid views within the dashboards that we had, they used the default view that we had when using it on a mobile device or another browser, for example. If I click on this, I have the ability now through HTML and JavaScript to be able to customize how columns are sized and viewed dynamically within different criteria that you have. So I have no idea what any of this means, but those of you who have the skill sets and are feeling brave can modify some of these templates to then be able to customize how adaptable the grids, the charts, the graphs that you create are within your mobile devices. So again, hopefully, again, useful for you guys and shows you some of the capabilities that has been built into the system now by Cireson. So let me apply that and save that for now so that we don't lose it in case we have to come back to it. The next thing I just want to talk about is a few feature sets within the new asset management forms. So I'm just going to go to admin settings and group settings. I mentioned the form lockdowns. So in the past, some of you may have already used the lockdowns of specific forms for work items. within the portal, and now we've extended that to support asset management forms as well. So if you've got any again, self-explanatory here for the first couple of for the first one. So you set the AD group who has access to this. In my case, it might be Cireson admins. And then give it a form ID, which I don't have here right now. But what I'll show you here is we've got all of the existing work items, but you've also got all the hardware asset or the asset management capabilities, the cost centers, hardware assets. You can start locking down specific forms based on your type projections, your custom type projections that you may have. Restrict access to specific data for specific user groups within your system to make it more in terms of more feature parity in terms of our existing work item capabilities within the solution. Now, also the hardware asset form. So if I go in and find the hardware asset, let's find a random hardware asset here. Click on that. Again, you'll hopefully see the performance improvements that we're seeing here. The form for the hardware asset, we now support custom tasks for these forms. So in the past, it was a bit of a challenge for some of you who were looking to do that, but we can now, like with our work items, you can create custom form tasks within the portal for then actioning different items or different settings within the portal and Service Manager, obviously, as well. So that's also supported by us now. You can create custom tasks within the portal. And it works, and it's within the custom space, so it's supported in terms of customizations because all that data is obviously now in our database for asset management as well. Now, I'm just going to go back to the dashboard side. So within analytics, what we now have, obviously, you've seen maybe the current incident work item, service request, those service management graphs and charts. We've also got 3 new charts, dashboards that we've created for asset management specifically. So if I click on my asset analysis one, hopefully you find all of this useful in your own environment. So it's a few key bits of information like the number of assets, assets by status, by type, age, OS, manufacturer, assets by location, organization, models, and then we've got things for license data. Again, all of these key bits of information that brings the asset management data that you have within your systems to life. So one of the key things we've had for customers is the lack of data, the lack of dashboards or charts for asset management. Hopefully this goes a long way towards remediating those things. So the next thing I want to talk about from a dashboarding perspective was the SQL queries and the ability to pass parameters through to your SQL queries. I'm going to find a dash or a chart here, which I think this is one. If I edit this, again, just to point out for those of you who didn't know, any of our out-of-the-box dashboards are editable now. So you can edit the page, move the dashboard, the charts around if you wanted to. Now I've lost this one. Where to go? Assets by age. There you go. It's dragged into a different location. I can edit the charts to see the query that is running underlying that chart or the grid, the table that you've got on the page. What I wanted to show you here, for those of you who've used our queries and the query IDs within our dashboards or within analytics, is now what we can do is pass parameters through instead of directly defining data. This is beneficial, I guess, for SQL admins who want to create effectively templated SQL queries, which then other people can take who don't know SQL maybe as well, and then they can continue using those queries more easily. You can also use this to more programmatically. So if you're querying SCSM from a different location, you can hit the API endpoint and pass the parameters and the tokens that you've created into the query, and then you can create that to pass the data from SCSM into other data sources that you may have. So just to show you what I mean, I can change, for example, the count here. Put double twirly brackets around it, and I'm going to call it let's call it demo count here, and put another set of twirly brackets at the end. What you'll see is straight away it's given you a new field for you to put your own value for that alias. So in this case, let's call it my count, and let me just save that. Obviously this chart's going to break because there's no data. Go back into it, And then instead of, so you've got the category field, received year date, and I can change the value field to my count. So very simplistic view of what's possible. Obviously, when you start thinking of much more complex requirements in terms of passing data between other systems, hopefully this is going to make your lives a lot more easy. It's going to change this back to the default, but hopefully that showed you the process at least for creating this stuff. So let me go here and delete that. Put it back to count so it doesn't affect any of my other queries. So they're back to default. Oops. Finally, what I did want to look at was just show you some of the API endpoints that you can hit through the OData points that we've created within the solution now. So a couple of key things. So to get to the API for this new environment, it's as simple as your website platform/API. So I'm going to leave that page. Here we list all of the available APIs that you can have to query our new engine, the platform. So that's obviously very useful, hopefully, for those of you who want to start programmatically getting into the data. The other thing you can do, very useful for troubleshooting, if I go API/me, it will provide me my memberships to roles and the access that I have within the system. Again, hopefully very useful for troubleshooting access to the portal and the data sets. The next thing I can do is start querying individual items within the API. So if we went back to the API, you'll have seen there's a cached hardware asset. So I can go ahead and put cached hardware asset in here, and it will show me all of the cached hardware asset data that I have within the system. This is going to be illegible because it's the JSON format that I have hasn't been able to format that amount of data properly. So I'm going to just filter this down. So it's very simple. Just again, like I did on the oh, there we go. It's already there. So it's top 100, and again you'll see that data filtered down, and it's more easy to read because of the format. It works better with that. And then I can also start filtering further. So I've got the top 100, and then I can say I want to filter this data more. So let's say and $filter equals contains, and then let's say I want to look for something with a name of with demo PC in it. Okay, oh, it's already there. Sorry. If I hit that, then that data comes back for the top 100 machines, or with a name of that a name value which includes demo PC. So again, very easy. You can see all the data that we have against those endpoints. Very powerful potentially for those of you who want to again access that data more programmatically. And you can start filtering down, like I've done here, across all the different data sets that you have to bring across the data that you want to within the system. So hopefully, again, that shows you the power potentially of the system and all the key features. And again, I've mentioned this twice already. I think I'm only touching the surface. Firstly, because of my newness to the solution, and also because of my lack of experience in development. So again, please do watch out for new webinars that we're going to be releasing or planning on for additional training in accessing some of these data sets. So that's all of the demonstration that I had. Just a quick call out to the self-service portal community. So if you're not using it right now, firstly, why not? But secondly, if you do want to try it, just head up to go to our website. You can try the portal for Service Manager for free. Like I mentioned, for 60 days, it works, and then it's going to stop working after 60 days unless you get in touch with us and ask for a permanent key, which we'll give it to you free of charge to continue using that self-service portal. But then if you wanted to try additional elements, I've mentioned advanced request offerings. I've mentioned the analyst portal for some of these things, and also analytics to be able to create those new pages like I've just showed you and query those OData endpoints. Do get in touch with us. We'll be happy to provide you trial keys for you to work with this system. Again, hopefully you found all of that useful. If you want to get in touch with us, just drop us an email at team@cireson.com, probably the easiest way to get in touch with us. My email address was on the homepage, davis.mathai@cireson.com. If you have any questions directly to me, I'll be happy to try and help out. And then without further ado, I've got time for questions. So if you do have any questions, please do start posting them into the questions box. I'd be happy to try and answer anything that you have. I see a few questions in there already. So activity means, so Giovanni, you've asked, activity means that users will no longer need to have access to the service request. That's correct. So you can see, as long as you can get to the activity, the approval page, that should be fine. So Leon, would I be correct in saying that before upgrading to version 8, we should ensure that the licensing app is updated to the latest version first? So the licensing app, Leon, is for the Service Manager console. So we don't rely on that for the portal. So you don't have to worry about that. You can upgrade to version 8. The license for the portal is directly input into the portal, so you can upgrade. There are some restrictions on which versions that we recommend that you upgrade from. I think it's version 6 upwards for a direct upgrade. But again, check out our KB site, and it provides all the release information for that. So Stefan, how do you find the version of Portal that you're running? So, okay, let's just head back onto the demo quickly. Just go back to localhost, my work. So if you go to admin settings, you'll see the current Portal version very clearly shown. If you're running an older version, you may have some license settings, and the Portal version will be at the bottom of the page. We simplified that from version 7, I think it was, upwards. So admin settings, general settings will show you the version. So Stefan, again, the migration strategy, it is very easy to upgrade. Obviously, the recommendations of backing up your existing data stand, but it's just a case of downloading the installer. It will go up. If you'd run the installer, it just goes off to our website. And again, I've mentioned there's some restrictions, recommendations on upgrading from certain versions. So make sure if you're on version 5, I think the recommendation is to go to version 6, and then you can upgrade to version 7. But you can run this on top of your existing installation. If you've run with the same user account, we capture or we cache all the settings that you've typed in before. So you can see everything I've typed in before has been there. You just have to re-enter credentials. So run through that process, back up your data. Also backup, a key thing to back up is if you've got customizations in your custom space directory. Again, all of our partners will know about this, and people who've done upgrades before. Back up this custom space directory within inetpub, your Cireson portal folder, so then you can revert back to you can restore even the customizations that you had back to your new installation. Oscar, hopefully that's answered your question as well about upgrading. So Stefan, you've got 7.4, you can upgrade directly to version 8. So Andre, you've asked a question about any plans to add custom filters as UI controls to analytics dashboards. Hopefully the OData stuff that you've seen is somewhat towards it. I don't fully understand that question. What I will do is take that away and ask if I can get some more information from the product team, and if you could leave that one with me, and I'll try and get back in touch with all of you with an answer to that question. Taste, sorry, I remember speaking. If you use the URL tags to add information, does it create the work item instantly, or does it just fill in the information? So it fills in the information, and then you hit the save, and then it creates the work item. So if I went back to, let's see that incident. There we go. It just creates the page with all the filters. You have to hit save for that to create the work item. Cool. That's all the questions I have right now on the screen. If there are any other questions, please do drop them in. Fantastic. That's no problem, Tace and Andre and Oscar. Can we save an incident form URL? Yeah, absolutely. That's the point of having this the ability to pass parameters. Yeah, save the URL, pass the parameters that you have into that URL, and you can link it in other places to make it easier to create these work items. I'm not sure. Oscar, so you're asking not by clicking the save button. No, so you won't create, so you won't, yeah, sorry. Okay, I understand the question now. So yeah, this process only creates the form with the data that you've submitted. It doesn't actually save the incident form that you've typed in. So unless I hit save, I'm losing this data. If I close this, it's gone. Okay. Cool, thank you. So, Oscar, oh sorry, even Andre. One more question. How about bringing custom properties to Service Management DB? Can you clarify what you mean? Class extensions, okay. Again, that's been present, I guess, for many versions now. Yeah, you can do that. So you can create your custom properties, classes within Service Manager. You can expose them within the Cireson portal, so you don't have to do it within the database per se. You can bring that data into the database if you wanted to, and obviously bring that into the portal directly, and you can show that. That's been there for a while. This new functionality makes it easier to do more customizations with asset management, which is the biggest change that we have right now. So Analytics DB. No, right now, Andre, I believe that you can't add customizations to the Analytics DB. But again, let me I've made a note of this. I'll grab that question and ask the product team. I'm pretty sure you can't right now. There are plans to extend the analytics functionality, and watch out for that. I'm pretty sure you can't right now. Oscar, user needs to enter credentials when accessing the portal. Great question. So I've set this up with form-based authentication. We use IIS as the web server. Form-based authentication is supported by us. Obviously, I use that for my demonstration because then I can log in as different users to show the functionality. We also support Windows authentication. So if you've got Windows authentication, single sign-on is supported, so anyone can then just open the browser, go to the link, and it goes straight through. Hope that answers your question, Oscar. Oh, sorry, I've been on mute for some reason. I accidentally touched the mute button. Sorry, Oscar. So there, form-based authentication. Yeah, it's Windows authentication. Oh, sorry, AD authentication still. So I'm using my AD username and password here. The difference is that when you go to the portal, you can go to authentication. You can turn off forms-based authentication, and then enable Windows authentication, which then passes through the login that you have within Windows into your website as well. So you only have to enter the AD username and password if forms-based authentication is enabled. If you have that disabled and put Windows authentication on, it should just go straight through. Hope that answers your question. After installation, yeah, you can change that. Yeah, absolutely. Cool, good. Okay. I'm going to stop the recording here. I'll still stay on for a few more minutes if you have any further questions. But once again, thank you for all of those of you who are remaining on the call for your time, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. And I look forward to speaking to as many of you as possible in the near future.